ABC 10 News at 4 starts now.
New charges in the New Year's Eve rave at a Miramar warehouse. What the city attorney's office says about the property and future events. Plus, 1.4 million Californians have their EDD payments frozen. Why one local man is in the red while trying to provide the state with proof he's legit. And a story that's positively San Diego. A local 9-year-old girl keeping her tradition of giving alive, even during the pandemic. Some big developments this afternoon following the violent rioting at the U.S. Capitol. Good afternoon. I'm Kimberly Hunt. In the last half hour, Twitter said it is permanently removing President Trump's Twitter account. It cited additional violations and the risk of further incitement of violence. This comes shortly after Democrats announced they plan to introduce articles of impeachment against President Donald Trump as early as Monday. Also today, West Virginia state legislator Derek Evans, who filmed himself storming the Capitol, now facing criminal charges. The United States Army Secretary says the military is considering allowing National Guard to carry firearms in D.C. ahead of the inauguration. Also today, President-elect Biden and Vice President Pence expressed their condolences for slain Capitol Police Officer Brian Sicknick, killed in the clash of rioting with police. No word yet from the president on Officer Sicknick's death. And in the last 2 hours, GOP Senator Lisa Murkowski has become the first Senate Republican to call for the president's resignation. The Alaskan senator told the Anchorage Daily News today, quote, "I want him to resign. I want him out. He has caused enough damage." Amid resignations of key staffers and calls of resignation from Democrats, White House advisors say President Donald Trump has no intention of leaving his post. The man who broke into House Speaker Nancy Pelosi's office during Wednesday's riots at the U.S. Capitol is now behind bars. Richard Barnett is being charged with 3 federal counts and was arrested by FBI in Little Rock, Arkansas this morning. Barnett can clearly be seen posing with his feet up at the speaker's desk. He later bragged about it, as well as taking an envelope from Speaker Pelosi's desk and leaving an expletive-laden note.
And so I figured, well, I'm in her office, I got blood in her office, I'll put a quarter on her desk, even though she's worth it, and I left her a note on her desk.
Among his charges are violent entry and disorderly conduct on Capitol grounds.
President Trump now says he's committed to a smooth transfer of power, but he won't be there to witness it. The president tweeting today he will not attend the inauguration. It'll be the first time in 152 years that an outgoing president has skipped his successor's swearing in. The president's change in tune on handing over power soon is a far cry from his speech Wednesday morning just before the attack at the Capitol.
We fight like hell, and if you don't fight like hell, you're not going to have a country anymore.
Prosecutors responsible for bringing charges in the attack say they're looking at everyone that had a role. Scholars and experts believe the president's speech directly incited the violence.
And I think we see that in Trump's speech to the angry crowd on Wednesday. He encouraged them to march to the Capitol building right over there and fight. He used the words "and fight," which could be construed as an explicit call to lawless acts.
UConn professor Richard Wilson says incitement law requires 3 elements: directly advocating for a crime, the act has to be imminent, and it has to be realistic. In this case, it was. But when you look at past trials across the world trying to hold others responsible for incitement, there's a high acquittal rate.
Courts are very careful about freedom of expression. They want to allow democratic deliberation, including offensive ideas. And I get that.
People have walked on eggshells for so long around this sort of thing, and that we haven't called a spade a spade.
Kurt Braddock is an extremist group expert who believes people need to be held accountable for the things that they say that lead to violence. And America needs the importance of facts and truth reestablished.
Take responsibility for the things they say, and the results of those words is one of the things that allows us to get back to understanding that, yes, words have consequences. Yes, facts matter. And yes, sometimes when people say things, it results in very, very damaging events.
There's also scrutiny over how law enforcement handled the violence. Now we've learned that days before the riot and Capitol break-in, the Pentagon and Justice Department offered National Guard and FBI manpower to Capitol Police, but were turned down. The violence has now claimed the life of a police officer who died of his injuries. The U.S. Capitol Police Chief has also resigned.
But we are learning more about the San Diego woman shot while inside the Capitol building. Ashley Babbitt was a former member of the D.C. National Guard. Our partners at Newsy have video that appears to show Babbitt trying to move through a broken window. The footage is paused right before a Capitol police officer fired a shot that killed her. One of her friends says that she is still trying to wrap her mind around what happened.
She was super smart, so I'm still trying to process, like, why was she there? Like, why was she in that position?
And Charles Beckenridge says that they were deployed together back in 2012. He describes Babbitt as someone who had a strong personality. She served a total of 12 years in the Air Force Reserves, and Air National Guard. Babbitt was even profiled by the Guard and became a mentor to younger airmen deploying for the first time. The officer who shot her is on leave, which is standard protocol. You can stay on top of all the developments in our nation's capital with the ABC 10 News mobile app. We'll send you breaking news alerts right to your phone, and it is free in the App Store. The COVID-19 vaccine rollout continues, and plans to get into as many people as possible are now well underway in San Diego County. ABC 10 News anchor Lindsay Pena explains how private companies, a local university, and even the Padres are joining in the effort.
With no baseball games right now, Petco Park is free to become the location of San Diego County's first COVID-19 vaccination superstation. Today, the county announced it's partnering with the Padres, UC San Diego Health, and the City of San Diego to make it happen. Beginning Monday, January 11th, the vaccination superstation will be operating out of the tailgate lot from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. 7 days a week for healthcare workers. The goal is to vaccinate up to 5,000 people a day with the help of staff from UCSD Health. More vaccines will also soon be available at Ralph's grocery stores.
In San Diego County, we're looking at next week. We are expecting those doses to begin arriving in our stores.
John Vitava with Ralph's says the chain has 21 stores in San Diego County that will have doses ready to go for people in Phase 1A next week. And they're looking forward to soon being able to vaccinate their employees.
Through our advocacy efforts, we were able to get grocery workers, so frontline grocery workers, moved up into that Phase 1B. So they will be next in line for the vaccine once it becomes available.
San Diego County health officials told ABC 10 News there's no set date on when we could move into Phase 1B, which includes the elderly and essential workers, but did say they're trying to move as aggressively as possible through the phases and tiers. Lindsay Pena, ABC 10 News.
Any healthcare worker wanting to go to the vaccination superstation will need to make an appointment. They can do that online at vaccinationssuperstationsd.com.
Another grim record today. The U.S. topped more than 4,000 daily deaths from coronavirus. Johns Hopkins University reports that there were also 275,000 new COVID cases. States like California, Arizona, Texas, and Florida have experienced a surge in cases and deaths. President-elect Joe Biden wants to release every available dose of the COVID vaccine. This would be a change from the current strategy where half of the vaccine production is being held back. Allowing every dose to be released would give more people access to a first dose, but there are concerns that Pfizer and Moderna won't be able to keep up with this timeline and won't have the second dose available for everyone on time. However, the World Health Organization is now saying the interval between the two doses of the Pfizer vaccine can be extended up to 6 weeks, but 3 to 4 weeks is recommended. Meanwhile, a new study by Pfizer shows its vaccine with BioNTech seems to work against a mutation in the new variants of COVID. Pfizer and students from the University of Texas Medical Branch used blood from people who had the vaccine to conduct the study. We're looking at 2 ways you could get stimulus payments if you missed out or only got partial amounts, and what those who received unemployment benefits need to know for the 2020 tax season.
The increase of coronavirus cases in California is causing a major impact on hospitals. The number of ICU beds around the state is steadily decreasing. Some are worried that it could quickly get worse following the holiday season. As ABC 10 News reporter Natay Holmes reports, one organization is calling for the state to provide more support.
We find ourselves today, in terms of the numbers, at a point where we are standing on a beach and watching a tsunami approach. That is, the numbers continue to rise and the status of the spread of this virus continues to worsen.
That was CHA President and CEO Carmela Coyle during the audio press conference this morning. She says hospitals need the same flexibility that was granted back in the spring when we saw an early surge in cases. CHA is one of the largest hospital associations, serving more than 400 hospitals and health systems across the state. Here in San Diego County, hospitalizations are up 18% over the past 2 weeks. As of Thursday, more than 1,200 people have been admitted to the ICU since February. The state's Department of Public Health says Californians should avoid non-essential travel more than 120 miles away from their home.
Now is the time to think as creatively and innovatively and quickly as we can to make certain we're doing everything we can to care for every Californian in need.
Natay Holmes, ABC 10 News.